Forex Profits with MACD, a practical guide to understanding and applying the MACD indicator for Forex trading. Greetings traders around the world, wherever you may be located. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by, investing of your time and resources in this course on MACD being brought to you under the auspices of Forex Mentor. My name is Frank Paul, and it's a great pleasure and a privilege for me to be the host and presenter of this course that's all about understanding MACD better, how to use it, sometimes how not to use it, and I hope that you will find this course a great or valuable addition to your personal library of learning materials on Forex trading. This is the very first module in our course, the first of 8. And as the title implies, introductory section, we're really just going to be covering off the administrative backgrounder type stuff before diving into the detail. So a few slides from now, I'm going to cover off some acknowledgements, debts of gratitude that I owe to several folks who are very helpful, instrumental in this course coming together. And in a few moments, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself before moving on to the table of contents and other information later in the module. The first acknowledgement I wanted to make was to the great folks at Forex Mentor, without whose help and support, as I mentioned earlier, this course just simply would not exist. It came about really as a result of just a simple suggestion that I made for a course, and I wasn't looking specifically to be involved in it or to prepare it or produce it, but the idea was well received, and the suggestion came back, hey Frank, why don't you take the ball and run with it? And that, to me, reflects what I would call the really democratic spirit of Forex Mentor. It doesn't matter whether you've been trading for many years or just a short little while. If you have an interesting idea or insight or question or any kind of feedback or input, it's guaranteed to always get a fair hearing and a prompt response. And that's very rare, I think, in the learning field out there generally. So I wanted to thank Vic Young in particular for being so supportive and very patient with me. You'd be amazed at the volume of detail that goes into preparing even what looks to be a fairly simple presentation like this, but Vic has been hugely supportive in dealing with all my questions and needs for help. And of course, Peter Bain, the original Forex Mentor, the guy who's made it all happen ultimately. So I just wanted to thank you guys, and I wanted to thank the team that supports you for helping pull this all together. Finishing up with our acknowledgements, there are two more people without whom we would not have anything to discuss here today, and those are the original inventor of MACD, which is Gerald Appel, pictured to your left on the cover of his latest or most popular book entitled Technical Analysis, Power Tools for Active Investors. If you're interested, you can grab a copy at Amazon.com or your favorite online book retailer. And then to your right is a reference to the article that Thomas Asprey wrote in about 1986, I believe, in which he discusses how the histogram component of the MACD indicator came about. And if you're interested in obtaining that article, I think it's only about $3 or so. You can follow the links shown to the right here, which is to the article reprint service of Technical Analysis of Stocks and Commodities magazine, and you can read it in his own words. Gerald Appel's invention was really innovative. He came out with MACD in the mid-1960s, and to make a whole lot of theory condensed into about 5 seconds of description, what it basically was a new way of making sense of moving averages. Gerald Appel was looking at two moving averages, a fast moving average and a slow moving average, and he noticed that in and around crossover events, which indicated a shift in momentum, the behavior of these two lines in terms of the physical gap or separation between them, it tended to widen or narrow, thus the terms convergence, divergence. And what he did was find a way to directly measure those gaps, the angle and separation attributes of moving averages, and he did that simply by subtracting the value of one from the other. MACD is nothing more than the mathematical difference of the reference values for two moving averages. That's all it is. And so when we're looking, say, at a 12.26.9 MACD, those first two numbers refer to the two exponential moving averages, the difference of which we're measuring. So a 12 period and a 26 period EMA. So it's a very simple innovation, yet very powerful, because what he was able to do was remove the lag You often hear moving averages referred to as lagging indicators, but MACD, what it does is it anticipates crossovers more quickly than the moving averages do that it's constructed from. So that's a very powerful tool and an improvement in our ability to trade the markets. And what Thomas Asprey came up with was just a very simple way of measuring the difference between MACD and its trigger line, and that in turn helped anticipate crossover events of MACD over the trigger. So a nice way to make that information more visually obvious. So those are the two folks who really gave us this mini toolkit that we're working with, and I would just like to acknowledge them both and thank them for the powerful tools they've given us to work and trade with. Okay, this is where I get to talk about myself for 30 seconds. That's just a fun little picture of my son Max to the left and me to your right. Two other very important people in my life who are not shown in this picture are my daughter Lainey, who's 2 years old, and my wonderful wife Suki, and I hope they won't be offended. I just couldn't find a better picture. Anyway, we live in the city of North Vancouver in the province of British Columbia, Canada, which is about 3 hours north of Seattle, Washington, USA. I've been a member of Forex Mentor now for about 2 years and have been studying the market more generally than that a little bit longer, about 2.5 years. I found out about Forex trading really through a series of coincidences. One day I received a marketing letter in my mailbox, and it was from one of these companies that sells a kind of a black box trading program, if you will. So I went to their free seminar workshop, and I just somehow didn't like what they were selling, yet I came away still feeling intrigued about the market. Then I heard about somebody at work mention something about Forex trading, and one day I was searching online for an old friend of mine who I used to work with, and I came across this banner ad for this company called Forex Mentor. And I followed the links and I read all the glowing testimonials, and there were bucketfuls of them. So I thought, well, this is a lot less than the $10,000 or $15,000 that the other company was talking about to get involved in the market. So let's give it a try. And I liked what I heard and saw and have been a committed member ever since. My personal goal with Forex trading is to make it my full-time career for the rest of my life. I'm getting there, and I'm very encouraged by the results, but I'm sure, like you, it's continuously a surprise how long it takes to get there and how much work you have to put into it. I think persistence and patience are definitely the keys, but that is my goal. I want to make Forex trading the last career in my life. In terms of my formal educational credentials, I possess a Bachelor of Arts degree in English Literature from the University of British Columbia, and an MBA degree in marketing. Prior to Forex trading, I've been involved in the marketing profession for about 18 years, and all I can say about that is I can't wait to get out. So there's a little bit about me in a nutshell. Let's move on. Here are the purposes and objectives of this course, and I hope that you'll find that we fulfill them very well through the course of the next 8 modules. The most important thing to understand, of course, is that we're taking an approach designed to be as compatible as possible with the Forex Mentor trading system, which, as we know, encompasses topics such as daily pivots, trendline projections, support and resistance, and so forth. So we're taking that as our foundation, as our building block, and using that approach to gain a greater depth of understanding of MACD, going into some of its facets with a little more detail than there typically might be time for. So I'm hopeful that you don't find this duplicative or redundant, but rather that it fits within the Forex Mentor style of trading that you've spent a lot of time learning. Now, something that's very important to understand is you're actually watching the second iteration of this course. In the first one, I went into bucket loads of detail in terms of technical information. So there were a lot of mathematical formulas. I spent a lot of time showing how to construct exponential moving averages, the mathematical formula for MACD, and so forth. And it's kind of interesting to know, but it's more theoretically oriented than practical. And we found, Vic and I, that that approach was quickly resulting in a course that was going to end up being somewhere around 10 hours long. And we kind of figured most people probably wouldn't appreciate being beset with that much dry information, theoretical and conceptual. So there is going to be a little bit of theory information peppered throughout the presentation, but what we're really trying to do is give you the very most practical approach you can get in terms of learning how to use MACD to make winning trades. So we're going to bypass some of the theory that we might have been able to get into in the interest of making this course usable, useful to you, and that you don't feel overwhelmed by too much theory. So we're really looking to show you in practical, sort of step-by-step how-to terms, how to use MACD in your total trading approach. Even though we build upon Forex Mentor's system, we're going to throw in a few ideas you've probably not seen before, some slightly unusual ways to use MACD. Try not to stretch it too thin, but provide a little bit of an original spin here and there. And most of all, to increase the number of ways in which you can use MACD for your trading. Ultimately, we hope that you know more about MACD than most other traders, your peers out there in trading land. And so that, in a nutshell, are the objectives for this course, and I hope you find those useful. I guess the question could be asked, well, why are you building a course just on this one indicator called MACD? You wouldn't trade one indicator. It's not a trading system. So why sort of focus a course on it? Well, it's a very important component of the Forex Mentor trading approach. There's hardly a trade that goes by where MACD doesn't figure prominently in the analysis somehow. So I would say that, yeah, all indicators are equal, but perhaps MACD is just a little bit more equal, as the saying might go. It's useful whether you're looking at a weekly view or a daily or an intraday chart, and in turn whether you're a position trader or an intraday trader or a scalper. MACD can be very useful to you in mapping out your trades, both in terms of finding entry points, monitoring your trade, and also finding exit points. Now, it's true that from time to time you'll find what's called a fake out signal. That's when MACD gives you some kind of event that says maybe, for example, go short, but the market continues going up, and if you were to just blindly or mechanically apply that signal, you would be on the losing side of the trade. Now, there are ways to validate or assess different types of events, particularly crossover events, and discern fake outs from valid iterations, and we're going to cover that off in a later module. But once you learn how to read the real deal from the fake-out signals, it's possible, and it's likely, in fact, that you can use MACD in a consistently reliable fashion. If we're going to take the approach of being well-rounded traders, it makes sense to have a good handle of all of the most popular indicators. We should have some facility with 200 period, 50 period moving averages, with stochastics and some other oscillators, with pivots and so forth, and MACD is certainly one of the most popular indicators, so whether it's your favorite or not, it really makes sense to have a good facility with it. I like MACD personally because it does more than one thing. It doesn't just give one type of reading, it gives numerous types of readings. It helps you monitor your trade, it helps monitor the momentum in the market, gives entry signals for reversal events and so forth. So it's a really diverse indicator, and it does a lot of different things for your trading. I think this is the most unique aspect of it, is that it's both a lagging and a leading indicator. Lagging in the sense that, like moving averages, it follows the trend in the market, but at the same time, it kind of removes that lag that is a common complaint about moving averages. We addressed this briefly earlier on, but MACD does give crossover events faster than moving averages do. So again, it helps you predict a change in the market more quickly than would otherwise be the case. So that's the sales pitch for MACD. I think it's a very useful indicator. If I had to choose just one, MACD would probably be very high on my list, along with a couple of the key moving averages. But that's the reason for building a course, and I hope you find this very helpful information going forward.